Good morning, everybody. Here we are back with some art projects. How very cool and exciting. Today we are going to do some painting, and we are going to paint this really cool underwater viewpoint of the ocean. Okay, so if you are picking up your kit, you will get the picture that shows you what we're doing. You'll also get your art canvas. You'll get the sheet of outlines of the animals that you can use. If you don't want to use those ones, you can find some on the internet and print your own out. You will get blue paint, black paint, and white paint. You'll get a couple paint brushes. And then you will need from home a pencil, scissors, and then just a cup of water. And I always suggest some paper towels to like wipe your brushes off and stuff. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prepare our canvas here. And so you can do your painting either up and down like this, or you can turn your canvas and do it hot dog style like this. So it's whatever you prefer, okay? And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut out the animal that you want to use. We have a turtle here. I've included an octopus, a shark, which is my favorite animal, and then this like cute little whale. So you can just go ahead and pick which one you want to do. I'm going to do the shark. If you don't want to do any of these animals, or you just want to freehand your animals on, that is also okay. So cut out the animal that you want. I like to try to give you guys outlines. I know some people just don't like to draw. I don't really like to draw either. I could do it if I took my time, but I get really frustrated when it doesn't turn out the way you want, and then I hate having lines on my canvas that I'm not going to use. So I just use this little guy, and makes it really easy. But a lot of you are really good drawers, and so you guys could just draw onto your canvas what you want. Alright, so once we get this cut, we're going to do, I have paint on the back of this that got on my canvas. That's kind of a bummer. Oh well, happy little accidents. Okay, so once we cut this out, we are going to do some drawing onto our canvas to get that started. Wipe this paint off so I know it is not going to get any more. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is see my little wheel. Okay, you're going to want to decide where you want your animal to be. And so you can place it anywhere you want. You want it to be more in the middle. Because if you look at our picture here, you see the outside, we're going to draw some like little cliffs and seaweed and coral and stuff like that. So you probably want it a little bit more in the middle, but if you want it on the edge, put it on the edge. Okay, so then I'm going to take my pencil and I am going to just lightly trace around my little shark here. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to end up painting over this. You'll still be able to see the lines, but we're going to paint our water first, and then we're going to do our black shark silhouette. Okay? If you want to do more than one animal, like you want to do a turtle and an octopus, or you want to do a shark and an octopus, whatever you want to do, you are more than welcome to do that. And I think that because I mentioned it, I am going to add the turtle to mine. Okay, so now I'm going to cut the turtle out. If you just want one, like, or maybe you want two sharks, and they are swimming around each other, you can take your shark, and if you turn it upside down, like if you this way, then it would look like the shark is swimming the other way. So that's kind of cool too, right? So play with it how you want, figure out where you want your stuff, and then go ahead and get them cut out. Get them put, if you want to do all 4 of them, do all 4 of them. I tried to make them small enough that you could fit more than one if you wanted more than one. But like if you want to do the shark and you just want it a little bigger, when you're tracing the outline, just go a little bit wider. So like if I were to put this back down and I just wanted it a little bigger, I would just come out here. So do you see where I'm off? And I would just trace around like outside, and that would end up making it a little bit bigger. Like I said, you can also just go on Google and Google in shark outlines or whatever animal outline you want. And then if you cut and paste it into a Word document and then size it to how you want it, that should work fine. I'm going to put my little turtle down here like he's coming this way. Okay, and then we're going to trace it. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Alright, so once we're done doing that, we're going to do just a general kind of sketch of the outside of our area, so you have kind of an idea of where you're going to want to put your stuff. So I think over here I want this to be like, I'm going to do a cliff, and however you want to do yours, you can do it that way. And then I think that I want there to be like another little cliff, like this was like just like a kind of cave he came out of. Okay, and then I'm going to add some little like jagged pieces down here, and this is just going to be my coral, and coral is very jagged, and however you want to do it, okay? Do it however you want to do it. Alright, and then I think I'm going to add some coral coming off my cliff, and just make like weird, they can be thin or they can be thick. So see how I'm just kind of making like blobs, I guess you could call them. That's what coral is. Okay. So just add it where you want to add it. If you don't want coral, then don't add coral. Okay? It's okay to not want to add the coral. And remember, this is all going to be black. So you have to think about how much black you want in your drawing. Okay? I want to do some like seaweed. Okay, and then I think up here I'm going to do some like, I'm going to do some like shrubbery. Okay, over here I'm going to do like a little, I don't know, it's like a corally overhang. Okay. Very good. And then I think I'm going to add some like, it's almost like tree-ish, I guess. Some like, these are going to be like, cool, huh? Make this a little ruggeder. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to do some, like, if you do like little wide, this is like the grass, you know, like seaweed. We're going to hang some off of here. Maybe some over here. And this is just like a light sketch of what you want to add, okay? So if you don't want to add all this, then that's fine. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to stop after I draw a couple more little, okay? And I'm going to wait until I do my painting, and then I'm going to add stuff if I need to add stuff, okay? So first thing that we are going to do is you want to get your paint. And we want part of it in the middle to be white, and this is going to be like where it's going to show is where, sorry guys, like where the sun is coming through the top of the ocean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little of my white on my plate, and I'm going to get a little of my black on my plate. And then I'm going to get a little of my blue on my plate. Just my blue doesn't want to come out. Ooh, come on. Alright. Okay. So, now, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do like the white middle part. So I'm going to take just white, whatever brush you want, and I'm going to pick where I want my white to be the most. So it could be over here. This is where the sun is coming through, okay? I want to do mine up here, and so I'm going to just, and you won't be able to see it very well, but I'm going to start painting just like white ray out. So, I'm just using white. And I've got like, and see I painted over my pencil, but that's okay. Okay, so now you just kind of want to drag it out because we're going to put the blue in with it. So you decide how big you want your white part. So this white part that we're doing now is going to just stay white, okay? So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my blue, little bit, see how much I barely got on there, and I'm going to go into that little small pile of white I have, and I'm going to get just the lightest tint of blue that I can. So see how it's barely blue, there's still a little bit of hue to it, right? Okay, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to go not right in the middle of my blue, but towards the edges, and I'm going to pull this out. Okay, and if you want it to get in the middle, that's fine. This is just going to give us like some color gradation here, okay? So we're just taking it, and you can barely see the difference. I don't even know if you can see the difference, but there you go, kind of you can now. So see how it's got a little blue hint to it? Alright, so we're going to do that all at the edge. If you get some of these, that's perfectly okay, because we're going to go darker out here in just a minute. Alright, so now I've got this kind of like starburst situation going on here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a little bit of this like lighter mixture that I had, and I'm going to get some on my brush, and I'm going to go over here to my blue and mix that in, because I don't want a lot super dark blue around here. It's going to be darker the further it gets away from our white spot because less sun, right? And so we want to kind of create these different hues. And so I'm going to add a little bit more of that. You don't want the gradation to be too harsh, so get it as light as you want. This should be okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here towards the edge of where my stuff was, and I am going to take my brush and I'm going to create strokes, and I'm going out towards the edge of my canvas. Okay, if it doesn't give you full coverage, that's okay. But what we want to do is we want to take this, and instead of going towards the edge, we want to bring it a little bit into the middle. Okay, and that's just going to give us these like ray looking type things. So just blend it as best you can. If it doesn't look real well blended, so like see here it's pretty harsh, get a lot of the paint off in another area. So see, I'm just coming in and I'm getting my paint off. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to bring it in just lightly. Okay, and don't worry about getting it too much in the middle and not having like enough white here. So see, I pretty much covered up my white. What I'm going to do in a little bit when I'm done getting all this darker blue on is I'm going to come back in and take some white over it. Okay, but I wanted to create that bottom layer so that I have a starting point. Okay, so we're just going out. Alright. And if you need more paint, just mix yourself up some more paint. No big deal. Okay. And if it's not the same exact color as the one before, that's okay. Because this is nature and things aren't perfect. Alright. So now, and remember, I'm creating like this sun look. So you want there to be like rays and brush strokes. You don't want it to be all just like flat in one shade and perfectly thrown on the canvas. Okay, and we're gonna come back in. We're gonna come back in with some white. We're gonna come back in with some darker blue, and we're gonna make ourselves some highlights and some lowlights. It's gonna look good. Okay, and so right now you're thinking, oh my gosh, this doesn't look very hot, but just blend it out as best you can. If it doesn't blend out, that's fine, because we're going to come back in and we are going to create some more color differences. Okay, and so see how here I did this, I just painted, and I've got these like little I don't know what to even call them. I love those because that's going to give us like texture in our water. Okay, so we don't know if somebody was swimming through there, but what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're going like in a sunburst. So you're going out, you're starting from the middle and you're painting outwards towards your edges. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want there to be like the illusion that we're looking up into this light spot. Okay, and so see, I'm not getting a lot of paint on my brush because I like these like kind of strokey rays. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to pull some of this blue into the middle. Remember, we're going to go over it. You just don't want there to be harsh lines. So just make sure that there's not like a harsh line. But we're going to go over it with the white. So, no biggie. Okay? Alright, let's do some more paint up here. And down here, darker is okay because we're further away. And if you paint over your guide of your animal, that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to, just go really light over it. So see, like I can't see that, but I cleaned a little of my paint off and I just went lightly over it. That's just so that the paint will get all around the edge. And then this is what we're doing. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to do that all the way around. And you don't have to paint all the way down here. If this is like where you're going to paint black, you don't have to paint over completely over it, because we're going to paint that black. So it's not really going to matter if you can see it or not. I just kind of like to go up to the edge so that I finish out my ray lines, so that I know, like, hey, there's my ray lines. Okay. Very, very good. You guys are doing great. I'm really into what you guys are doing right now. Okay. So I'm going to come in, get this part. There we go. Alright. So get it covered. Get your comb. If the edges aren't completely covered, that's okay, because we are doing the like black like clips and seaweed and coral. So all of that stuff is going to be on the edges, so you don't want to panic if you cover it up. Okay? So I kind of did what I feel is okay for right now. So you guys are looking at this and you're like, Miss Ash, this is a hot mess. Why, yes. Yes, it is a hot mess. Well, that's what we want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of that dark blue we have and we're going to mix it in white. We're going to give ourselves like a really nice lighter blue, and we're going to kind of take that towards the middle. And we're just going to pull that out. And we're not going to do it everywhere. We're just going to do it in some of our blank spots. Okay? So, what I want to do is I want to go back in the middle and get myself a little bit more white here. So I'm going to get my white. And I want to make sure that this is semi-dry. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to go re-over that white part that I had. And I'm going to just do, like if you see how I'm doing it, I'm just light pressure and I'm just taking my brush and I'm flicking it. And that's giving me these really nice like straight lines, okay? So just pure white, and we're just gonna go straight lines. And you pull them out however far you want to pull them out, or leave them as close as you want to leave them, okay? And it doesn't have to be completely white. You want to be able to see some of the blue. And you're just going to do that around in a sun shape, okay? And we're going to do it everywhere. There we go. Pull this one out really, really far, okay? And we're going to mess with this a little bit just because we're getting the colors blended. So right now what we have is we have like our base coat, and then we're just going to go over it a few times and we're going to create our beautiful drawing. Okay? Perfect. Alright. Okay. Awesome. Light pressure, guys. Light pressure. Okay? And then just in and out, in and out. Okay. So see, now I have my white part back a little bit more, right? So now I'm going to go back with my other brush, okay, and And I'm going to take some of this lighter blue that I had, this lighter blue right here, and I'm going to, from where the lights were, I'm going to go out wherever I want. Okay, so we're just creating some different blending. Okay, very light. Okay, very good. And you don't have to do it on every side. Give it some blending. Do some here. Okay, do some. Cool. Okay, now we're going to go back. We're going to go with our darker blue. And if you find that your paint's not going on your canvas very well, dip it lightly, so just barely in your water, and then rub it against the edge, and then come back in, and you'll pick up some of that paint. It'll make it a little easier to go on your canvas. Okay? So then I'm going to take this dark, and I'm going to blend it out. Okay? There we go. And you're going to want to get all those little white spots that you don't want. Okay. Some of the stuff along the edges is fine. Raise, raise, raise. Awesome. Okay. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of the blue. And I'm going to take a little bit of black. And I want to make a darker blue. And that is what I'm going to put around down here on my edges, because the sun is not reaching down here, so it's going to be a little bit darker. And I'm just going very light and blending it in, so very light. Cool. Okay. And see, I'm just trying to cover up these little white spots because I don't particularly want those. If you want those, keep them. But you want the darker stuff out here on the edge, because remember, we're further away from our light source. So things are going to be darker the further away from our light source we get. Okay? Remember, I'm just doing very, very light. And so see how I'm kind of getting some, like, rays here? It's looking like rays. That's what we want, guys. I need more paint. Alright. Maybe. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to get a little of my blue here. Dab of my black. That's going to give me my darker blue shade. Okay, and I'm going to come down here. I think I'm going to give us some rays. Okay. Cool. Do some over here. Do some over on this side. Okay, so now see what I did is I put a crud ton of paint here. I don't like the way that looks. So just come in and blend it out. Because if we don't like it, we can go over it later with black. Okay? So just make sure that you have all of the places that you're not going to be painting black. You want to make sure that you have those things covered, okay? Okay. So, if you look at my painting, I have like some white spots here that I want to cover up. So I'm just going to go in with my paint, whatever color you want, and I'm just going to cover those up. Okay. And so see, I did kind of a lighter color, so now I'm like blending out more, which is fine. Okay. Awesome. All right. We're done with the blue part. Okay, so you're going, oh, Miss Ash, we have all of this like blank spot over here. And that is because we're going to do black there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to do our animals. Now, if for some reason you did your animal and you're like, oh my goodness, Miss Ash, I can't see it now, that's no big deal. Let's just come back in with our pencil and our animal and we'll just retrace. Okay? Make sure that your paint is dry or you're tracing, or you're going to have like weird marks. Okay? Alright. So if you need to retrace it because you can't see it very well, go ahead and retrace it. So I have that one, and then I have my turtle down here, and I can kind of still see my turtle, but I'm just going to trace it over anyways. Now you're saying, Miss Ash, what was the point of drawing it first? Well, some of you aren't going to paint over your stuff. You would have just skipped around it, so you're saving yourself a step. And some of you will still be able to see it. I know that you guys can't. I could see the shark outline still on my canvas here in the room. I know that you guys probably couldn't because of the way that the light and the my light is. So I just wanted to be able to show you guys. You should still be able to see your pencil through your, so you guys can kind of see it here. You guys should still be able to see that through. But if not, just retrace, okay? So next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint in our animals. So I'm going to get in the brushes. And I am going to get black paint. And I'm going just straight black. Nothing mixed in. And I'm going to come in very lightly with the very tip of my brush. And I'm going to just kind of start a tracing here. Okay. And then I'm going to paint it in black. Okay. You're going to do that for all of the animals that you decided to trace onto your canvas. Okay. So here we go. And see, we're getting some contrast, and when we get all of our contrast in here, we get all our details in here, the C part is going to look not so wild. Some of you guys are like, oh my gosh, Miss Ash, what did you make me do? I promise, it's going to turn out, guys. Alright, and see, I'm just using the tip of my brush, and I kind of outline where I'm going to go, and then I go in and just fill it in. Okay? Don't need a whole lot of paint on your brush. Okay. Cool. Okay. There we go. Awesome. Very good. There we go. Cool. Good job, you guys. I love sharks. Sharks are my favorite sea animal. However, I'm deathly afraid of the ocean, so I won't go in or by the ocean because I watch too many of those like shark movies where they get stranded in the ocean and then the sharks like stalk them, which is not like a real thing, but I'm deathly afraid of open bodies of water. But sharks are my favorite animal ever, and I just find them so interesting. I just think that there's so many cool things about sharks. Alright, so we've got the shark done. Almost. Gotta finish its little tail here. And then we're gonna do my little turtle down here. Okay, so there's my shark. Very good. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do my turtle. Okay. Awesome. I was watching the news the other day, and you know, some of you probably don't know, but Texas is like freezing because they're just not used to the cold weather. And so I was watching, and there was this article about this like group of people had went down to the beach, and there were all these like turtles there, like thousands of turtles, and they were basically freezing to death because they weren't used to the like cold. So they took all these turtles and they like found, I don't know what it was really, like a some kind of like warehouse or something, and they took all of these turtles, thousands of them, and shipped them from the beach where they were like freezing to death to this like warehouse or wherever, and put them in there in the warmth so that they wouldn't all die. And it had a picture of this like area where they had this like huge like open warehouse and just thousands of turtles just all hanging out together, keeping warm, chilling in the warehouse so that they didn't freeze to death. I thought that was pretty neat. Okay, so there's my turtle. Very good. Alright, now the next part that you're going to do is we are going to add the details that you wanted. And so I had my cliff over here. You guys may or may not have had a cliff. If you didn't, that's fine. You're just going to start painting the edges how you want them to be designed. And I want this cliff to be here. So I'm going to go and paint this whole area right here black where my cliff was. If you can't see where your stuff is, just wing it if you want. If you like to be like more me and have kind of like a guide to go by, just like I said, if you can't see, just take your pencil and lightly sketch over it. Make sure the paint's dry. Lightly sketch over your details, and then once you paint them, you'll end up painting over your lines anyways. So if that's how you want to do it, perfect. If you just want to wing it, that's awesome too. Okay, so I've got my cliff here. And see how I'm covering up some of that stuff I already painted? That's okay. Okay, awesome. This is one of my kids' favorite things to paint. They love to do the underwater, like sea creatures. My son doesn't do like a shark or a turtle or anything. The last time we did one of these, he did King Kong. So King Kong was under the water, he was swimming. And my daughter made me do a unicorn. So if you don't want to do a shark and you don't want to do a turtle or a whale or an octopus, you can do King Kong or a unicorn, whatever you want to do. My son did King Kong and he was swimming, and then there was like little people that were trying to get away from him up in the corner, he like made a whole scene. He made a whole entire scene with his. It was like a whole story with his. Kind of got a little bit away from him because then he was just like using all kinds of different colors and stuff. So, but you know what? That's his prerogative, and I loved it, and it would actually turned out really cool, and it hangs on my wall now. So remember, if you don't like your paintings, Miss Ash, bring them to me, and I will love them and treat them like my own, hang them on my wall. Alright, I'm going to do my coral over here. Okay. So good. And if the lines aren't straight and fancy, like if they are kind of like, see how down here it's kind of like, that's cool because it's like shadowy. Okay? And that's what you want. So it doesn't have to be perfect because we're under the sea, and the things under the sea aren't perfect. Could you imagine though going like under the sea, like going deep diving down there and seeing all the cool stuff that's down there? I think it would be so cool. I'm just adding whatever I want here. I'm doing like the coral down here. Okay, and that's what you guys want to do. You want to create your own little floor of undersea stuff. Okay? And if for some reason, like, oh, right here, I don't have very much paint, but I don't want this all to be black, I'll just go in a little bit and go over it with some blue, and that'll be fine. Okay. Cool. Okay, so there's like my little seaweed floor. I'm gonna go over here. Remember I had like a part up here that was, it was like my cliff. I'm gonna come in and go down like that. And paint all this in black. So this is just however you guys want to paint it in. Okay? If you don't want anything, you want just stuff on the one edge, then just do stuff on the one edge. If you want them on all of the edges, do stuff on all of the edges. If you just want it along the bottom, that's cool too. I want you guys to make it your own, give it your own little flair. So like, we did these once and I did them monochromatic. Mono, if you don't know what mono means, mono, the prefix means one. And so monochromatic stuff is like one color. So what it does is it did, we picked one color, so like blue or purple or red. And then we made all kinds of different hues of it. So we added like white, and we added blacks to make it darker. So we got like a light blue, a darker blue, and then we used just one color. So it was like the white, and then it had all the blues, and then the outside, instead of being black, was like the darkest blue. And so that creates a really cool like texture. It creates really appealing to your eye. And so if that's something that you ever want to try when you're painting, try using just one color and then mixing whites and blacks with it to give it different hues. And you'll get these really awesome, like, just different things to give you like little viewpoints, different viewpoints for your stuff. Awesome. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here and do like, do some coral here, make it look corally. Okay. And see, I'm just creating blobs, you guys. I'm literally just creating blobs. And I'm just making it look like it's under the ocean. You can add whatever you want to this. So, like if you wanted to add a little fish here, do like a really generic little fish. Add a little fish, because you know, like the fish that follow the little sharks. See? I just added my own little generic fish. Look at that. Now I've got a little generic fish there. Awesome. Okay, so just keep on going on with your coral, with your underwater stuff. Sea anemones, if you've ever watched Finding Nemo. I used to watch that movie so much when it came out when I was younger. I loved it. It was so cute. Okay. Over here, I'm just going to create some bushes because, oh, you guys can't see that, sorry. It's going to be like seaweed. Just kind of dangling. Okay. I'm just barely using the tip of my brush. And I'm just kind of pulling it to a point. And not just because I want it to look like there's just a bunch of like seaweed here. Or maybe it's octopus tentacles. I don't know. I can't call it, you guys. It's whatever you decide it is. Okay? That would be cool, huh? Little octopus tentacles. That's fun, huh, guys? Okay. And so when you get to a point where you're like, this is looking really good, what you guys want to do is you want to stop. Don't keep going and thinking that if you add more, you're going to end up with a better picture. Because what's going to happen is, like, I look at this and I'm like, ooh, I kind of like it. You know, I'm really digging the shark and I'm like turtle. I like the edges. I just like the amount of blue. This I need to cover up a little bit. But I think that this is pretty okay. Once you get to that point, just stop. Because if you go in and try to add more stuff, you're going to get to a point where you just don't like it anymore. And you're like, oh, I should have stopped back there. Okay? And that's not what we want. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue and I'm just going to come around here. And if you happen to paint over your black, that's fine. So see, I'm just trying to get it this colored in because I didn't bring it down low enough. And see, I'm going over my turtle, but that's okay because I'm going to go back in with my black and just go back over it. Okay. But make sure that whatever you're trying to fill in is dry, because if this black around what I'm coloring in here was wet, I would pull all that black out into there. Okay? And I kind of like that because then it creates like a little bit of like a shadowy effect. So now see, I'll just take my black, I'll just kind of go over the parts where I had colored over it with the blue. Or maybe you like that little like shadowy effect.
I know they're two kinds.
And it just creates some seaweed over here. Alright. Keep going as far as you guys want to go. Add stuff all around the edges if you want. More animals if you want. Bubbles. Whatever you want to do. I like this how it is. It's simple, but keep going however you want to go. Add whatever you want to add. If you want to add some green to the seaweed over here, do that. Or maybe you have some like bright pink you want to add to the coral. Do it. Make it yours. Finish it up. Take a picture. Have your parents send it to me. M as in Melissa, Folk, F-O-U-L-K, at longvalleycs.org. Send me those pictures, guys. I love seeing your stuff. And if for some reason you decide you don't like it and you don't want it, bring it to Miss Ash because she has her wall of art. She loves to add stuff to it. Okay? Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.